there, darling. Welcome to my channel. I'm Alex Tobias, Tobias if you're nasty, and I'm in... Say it. I will. When? At the end. Of your life? No, at the end of this video. Because at the end, you'll somehow be more of that than you are right now.
Shit, you're right, I should wait.
That's the opposite of the point I was trying to make. I shouldn't say it at all. You make art, therefore you are an... imposter.
Oh!
Just make the fucking video. As I was saying, I'm Alex Tobias, and I realized that I made this channel without actually introducing myself or telling anybody what the hell this channel was about. So that conversation I just had with what seemed to be my more logical self is an example of the sort of topic branch that stems from and towards the overarching message that I hope to convey with my content. So because that introduction was pretty fucking cryptic, I'm going to more specifically outline what this channel is about, what you can expect, and a little about me. First and foremost, I'm a writer, actor, director, musician. I do Filipino martial arts. I also am into crafting, and that would make you abnormal. Oh, and I do content creation, which wasn't always the plan, but I never really had a plan, ever. So when I was little, I binged YouTube. I would be so excited to just go on the internet. I don't know who was letting me go on the internet. There was just a family computer and I had access to it. And I was on there watching YouTube, especially because my older cousins, I'm still really close to all my cousins. You'll probably see them on this channel a lot too. We would always watch YouTube together. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. I loved cartoons. I love cartoons. I still to this day love cartoons. I'm a cartoon enthusiast. Some of my favorite cartoons when I was a little baby: Powerpuff Girls, Invader Zim. Don't talk to me about salad fingers. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. Of course, SpongeBob, anything Nickelodeon, early Nickelodeon. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. When I got a little older, regular show, Adventure Time, Steven Universe. So when I wasn't watching cartoons or anything animated, I was making things. Favorite subjects in school, anytime we had to do anything artistic, I was like, move! So I'd be at school, I'd be making stuff, get distracted in class because I'm so busy doodling or making origami or whatever the fuck, gluing stuff together in class when I'm not supposed to. Then I'd go home and I'd do the same shit at home. Spend hours folding, perfectly meeting each corner to each corner and just, oh, crispy lines, tearing it perfectly, folding that, gluing it together, making a book, and never drawing in the book or writing in the book. And that's kind of symbolic, actually. At the same time, while a lot of my family members were very artistic people, it wasn't very common to necessarily be encouraged to make a living off of that. I mean, it was very early on discouraged to pursue that as a life path, I guess you could say. I think the age of like 4, someone in my family, I won't say, someone who was one of my guardians. What do you want to be when you grow up, Alex? I want to be an actor. I want to be an artist. What? You can't do that. They don't make money. You have to be a doctor. And that rhetoric sort of constantly carved into my psyche. So I never really conceived the possibility that that sort of thing could be real. Everyone knows that if it doesn't make you money, then it's not real. My spirit sort of existed at the intersection between making art and being this like cyber star. When I was little, dude, I would be like, welcome to my channel, and I'm just talking to the mirror. I'm sure everybody did it. When I hit my teen years is when I became really jaded. I was just waterboarding myself with Tumblr, Twitter, anime. I was just consuming. So I did sing and I loved to dance and I was in the theater club, but even in the theater club, I joined it my junior year of high school only as the makeup artist, just to be a part of it, just to be close to it. And it wasn't until like one of the teachers were like, why aren't you auditioning for something? You need to audition for something. Every single one of my endeavors, I really was like pushed to do it. In college, I took an acting class as an extracurricular. And my grandma was like, what is this on your transcript? Why are you wasting my money? What are you doing with your life? And I'm like, whoa, calm down, it's just an, you know, she doesn't really understand how ECs work. But in that class, my teacher was like, are you pursuing acting? Because you should be doing this. And that was crazy for me. Every single teacher that I had in English, theater, history, my teachers were always very encouraging, very, very disappointed in me. They were always fucking disappointed in me because I never tried. I was always afraid to fail. I always thought, what is the point? Why try? Why try if I know this will never lead me anywhere? I didn't even apply to like universities. I thought to myself, well, I know I won't be able to afford it, so I just won't try. That was kind of the theme for all of my teen years, really. I was just kind of like this party animal, focused on the wrong things, never really conceived the possibility that I could be an artist. And that's not to say that some of my family members weren't encouraging. They were really encouraging growing up, forcing me to sing and shit, you know, encouraging me to dance. They were always talking about me like I was really talented, and that made me feel good, but it was never really enough to get me to believe in myself. I danced when I was little and then I quit. I played sports when I was little and then I quit. And I joined theater and then I quit that. And it was just like this constant incompletion. That was just what my youth was based on, was incompletion. A little bit after high school, I started making music. Only my guitars heard it and my close friends. It's not recorded well. I don't know how to produce music, you know, so I'll just keep it to myself. Content creating. I would make like little get ready with me's and funny little makeup videos on my Finsta. I don't think people call it Finsta anymore. During the pandemic, when that shit just exploded and short form content became really, really popular, it just became more and more of this loud bell, you know, in my head and outside my head, my friends being like, you need to do this. I'd be like, oh, influencer, I don't like that word. There was a huge disconnect with what I felt my artistic values were and what I knew to be influencing. I had reached a tipping point in my life where I was like, you know what, something's got to change. I got to do something. I got to try something. I could just do what I do just in front of the camera. And what do I do every day? I take care of myself. I do my skincare. I'm very religious about my hair. I do my makeup. I'm interested in all of those beauty things. Decided, fuck this. I'm just gonna try content creating. I'm gonna try. I just picked up my phone, I got a haircut, I started making content. I finally bargained with myself and I told myself, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm gonna do content creating and then I'm gonna use that platform to show my art. So it was like a means to an end. And then I came across professionals in this field that really encouraged me to pick a niche. Specifically beauty, because that's where the money's at. That's where the big bucks are at. And I get it. And then I did that for about a year and a half. And something just felt so off. It got to a point where it wasn't feeling like me anymore. I never wanted to be a vessel for perpetuating a hyper-consumerist culture, and I felt that that's all my page became. I didn't like that. I had this identity crisis. I was sort of psychotically like arguing with myself online about my projection of what content creating was, of what influencing was. It was this thing that I definitely took for granted as all that it was. And I just took that frame and I put it on there and I said, no, that's not for me, it can't be me. But I allowed it to become that. It wasn't that at first. In all this time that I was dedicating to making content, I felt imposter syndrome because I thought that I was building this platform for my art. And then in doing that, I wasn't making any art. You know what I mean? And I was sort of feeling this comfort in that stability, in this recipe that worked for me, and listening to pick a niche. It was like more and more like my soul was being like torn apart because one, my ego is so big, I just cared way too fucking much. Two, because I don't think of myself as this person peddling wares that aren't even my wares. They're other people's wares. And so I was like, I need to take a break, all this shit, whatever. I don't know why I'm doing this anymore. This isn't the cyber me, the cyber star me that little me I think wanted to become. So for the last 2 years, I've been separating the two. Content creating and my art. And it's because I put so much time into this, I was mad at myself. How can I call myself an artist if I'm doing this and not this. But that was foolish. Wait a minute. If I'm putting my time, my effort, my taste, my style into this thing, into content creating, why the fuck shouldn't it be called art? And I changed my brain chemistry. For the longest time, separating the two and convincing myself that I can't call myself an artist, that I'm still that little girl who refuses to show anything that she makes because she's afraid of being judged. That's my censor. Like, that's not me thinking those things. And it's not even other people thinking those things. And if they do, they're mistaken too. Just because I do beauty doesn't make me any less an artist. I was so foolish. I wrestled with that imposter syndrome. How can I call myself an artist if art isn't everything I do? But wait, art is everything you do. If I'm putting time, effort, style, taste, my culture, everything that makes me me through this expressive medium, I don't have to work backwards and define myself, allow myself to be defined by external constructs that I'm the only one that's like projecting onto me. Who I am is in my act of being. So if I'm making art, then you are an artist. An artist. And that brings me to my overarching message. We all have the power to create and live artfully. And despite the challenges of a circular existence, it is never too late to be an artist. Every intentional moment is an act of creation. Now, don't take what I say and apply it to AI slop, because art is still subjective. With that being said, with this channel, I hope to not only convey that message with crafting, learning, fucking up. I also hope to create a space to talk about art in funny ways and tragic ways, in any way that feels authentic. I hope to create a space and a community to talk about art, to engage in art, to share your art. Animation, I love animation, send it to me. And encourage art despite it all. Despite our circular existence. That is something that I can unpack in a later video. Another disclaimer, I'm not an authority on this. This isn't defining what it is to be an artist and what art is. I'm not doing that. That's for you to decide. And people are bound to argue. People are bound to disagree. Art is subjective. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about what we're making, what we want to make, what we feel like we are struggling with, what we can't make for whatever reason you're telling yourself. We'll talk about being a master of none, about nature, about cartoons, about beauty, internal, external, and whatever the fuck else we want. So different topics each week, a skit here or there. I'd love to get your idea of what you want to talk about or what you want me to talk about. I can't wait to see what happens.
Well, I'm really excited.
And I'll see you next week. Yeah! I realized that my bangs were fucked up that whole video, but I'm not gonna re-record it. I'm just gonna acknowledge it here.
Oh!
Okay, also wait, before I go, I want to show you guys this song that me and my partner made.
It's my wait for you to come home and take a taste of all the fate I saved up for just you.
It's clipping like crazy.